Hello and welcome to That Booty, the channel where we approach spirituality with curiosity and discernment. I'd like to first mention that I am experimenting with some background changes, so I'd love to hear your feedback. But that's all trivial, so let's get started with the video topic, which is vulnerability and accountability on your spiritual journey, which is a big one. I myself have found, and you might be similar to me, that sometimes, while your spirituality is always there and your practices are always there, it seems that the necessities of life can become either a distraction or an excuse. So what do I mean by that? As an excuse, right? We are conditioned to not want to be fully vulnerable, not want to admit to ourselves when perhaps we need to take a break, or when we need to reevaluate what we're doing, the trajectory our life has taken. And an easy way to kind of get away from that vulnerable state is to throw yourself into what many people call the matrix, right? The 3D existence that we all experience as human bodies living in society with other human bodies. So instead of saying, you know, I'm feeling misaligned from my purpose when I work at my day job, and trying to figure out, well, how do I integrate something that brings me more fulfillment into my schedule? We'll say, you know, my job is not fulfilling, but I'm gonna throw myself more deeply into that. And then when I get home, I'm gonna tell myself I have a well-deserved rest and I'm gonna put things off. Instead of being vulnerable, not just to others, but being vulnerable within yourself and being receptive to that introspection, because it is difficult. It can be painful, especially when perhaps you've gotten to a certain point on your spiritual path and you feel like you've experienced the backslide, or that circumstances have shifted things to the point where, you know, maybe you're a little bit embarrassed to say, I need to regroup or reconsider or seek something more deeply within myself. Maybe there's something, not necessarily that I missed, but that needs to be addressed a little further or approached in a different way. So that vulnerability is difficult to embrace, but it's completely necessary in order for us to be honest with ourselves. And that leads to accountability. Now, I mentioned before distractions. We like to distract from our sense of accountability by saying, well, again, circumstances can come into play. I'm too busy to continue doing my daily yoga practice. Something that's occurred for me is the monotony of quarantine, working from home. My workspace is my living space, it's my sleeping space. Everything is kind of a recycled space. And I will admit, I had been in quite the rut because of this. while it's a convenient excuse that I can use to distract myself from what's really going on, it kind of distances me from that accountability for the decisions I have made. Does that mean I'm any less valid as a spiritual being? No, because we're all spirits that happen to have bodies on this earth. So, you know, people who say I'm not spiritual, you are a spirit. It's just the way your ego has convinced you you need to get through the day. And that's fine. But we are all accountable for the trajectory of our spiritual pursuits, right? So we can't help what happens outside of ourselves a lot of the time, but we can show up every day and do the work. And when life gets difficult or distracting, we can justify doing less and less work until we realize that we're falling into old patterns. Sometimes these old patterns do need to be revisited. Sometimes, I feel that, yes, it always does serve a purpose, even when we stagnate, right? Because it gives us an opportunity to see with fresh eyes. But we still need to be accountable. I backslid. I spent so long trying to figure out how to get a setup going that I hadn't posted content in a little bit. I got so caught up in the repetitive nature of my schedule that I ended up dialing it back a few notches too many and then selling myself short. And when you sell yourself short, then you're no longer able to bring value to others in a way that's meaningful. And I'm not saying that in the, oh, I bring value to you because I sit at my desk and work 9 to 5, although that does have a certain value. But I'm talking about a more impactful influence. Because if you're not nurturing yourself, if you're not nourishing your spirit and giving yourself the tools you need for your growth on a daily basis, and I do mean daily, it's not like you'll burst into flame, and it's not like that, you know, like you deserve to be in a state of guilt or shame. But accountability requires you to be vulnerable enough to say, you know, I've been doing myself a disservice. And taking the time to go within and not necessarily find all the answers at once, but keep showing up, keep coming back to center, keep putting one foot in front of the other. If you keep doing that, one day you'll look back and be astounded at how far you've come. It's okay to be vulnerable with yourself or with others. And it's necessary to be accountable, not harsh, just accountable. And with this video, I'm holding myself accountable for my consistency and my dedication to my mission, which is to share with a community of like-minded spiritual individuals everything that I can, whether it be insights or things I've learned along the way about yoga or metaphysics or even philosophy, whatever that may be, because we all thrive on not only human connection, but learning from human experience as a unified spirit at our core. So again, I am holding myself accountable, and I hope to be seeing a lot more of you, or maybe you'll be seeing a lot more of me. Because, you know, when you do align with your purpose, even if you get into this mode of being distracted or making excuses, you find that when you come back to your purpose, it gives you energy. It lights you up. It keeps you going in a way that nothing else can, and that's what this does for me. So I'm grateful that you are a part of this, and I can't wait to chat again. Until next time, namaste.